A Hafiz-e-Quran girl gave birth to a snake. When the villagers came to know about this, they screamed in shock. Everyone was stunned and bewildered as to how all of this could have happened. This heart-wrenching incident is one to hear while holding your breath. There was a village where both Hindus and Muslims lived. In this village, there was a girl who was a Hafiz-e-Quran. She was very pious and pure. Allah had made her exceptionally beautiful. Along with her beauty, Allah had also blessed her with good manners and a noble character. She was the only daughter of her parents. There was a small madrasa in the village where the Holy Quran was memorized, and she used to go there to study. On her way there and back, people would see her beauty and fall in love with her. But once, it so happened, by Allah's will, that a Hindu boy saw her. The moment he laid eyes on her, he became madly infatuated and started plotting ways to get close to her. He devised various plans to win her over. But Allah did not allow a marriage between a Hindu and a Muslim Hafiz-e-Quran girl. The girl eventually got married to a Muslim man. She was very happy in her married life. But the Hindu boy, burning with envy, was consumed by anger. He would repeatedly scream in rage, saying, "If I can't have her, I won't let her belong to anyone else." There was a renowned magician in the area, and the Hindu boy went to him. He narrated the entire incident to the magician. The magician gave him a chant, or spell, to recite, which the boy began practicing. He went into the jungle and started performing the chant along with the magician. The Hindu boy then began casting black magic on the couple. Slowly, the girl's husband started drifting away from her. 6 years had passed since the girl's marriage, but she had not yet borne any children. On top of that, her husband was growing distant from her. She would cry constantly and pray to Allah. One day, a servant in her house suggested she seek spiritual treatment. She began the spiritual treatment, and by the mercy of Allah, she was blessed with a very beautiful daughter. The entire family loved and adored this daughter. But her father remained distant and indifferent. He didn't even like to look at his daughter. This deeply troubled the woman, and she wondered why her husband didn't love their daughter. Despite this, she continued to thank Allah, believing that since Allah had blessed her with a daughter, He would also grant her happiness. She prayed that her husband's heart would fill with love for their daughter. The child was now 10 months old. One day, a fakir, a wandering ascetic, came to their house from the court of Allah. Standing at their door, the fakir called out, "Is there anyone in this house of Allah who can feed this hungry fakir?" Upon hearing this, the woman instructed her servant to give food to the fakir. When the servant went to offer the food, the fakir said, "I do not want food from you. I wish to meet the lady of the house." The servant informed his mistress, and for some reason, she felt compelled to go to the door to meet the fakir. Although she had never interacted with strangers like this before, she took some food prepared by her ancestors and placed it in front of the fakir. The fakir said, "Daughter, won't you bring me some water?" She instructed her servant to bring water. The servant brought a large brass glass filled with water. She handed it to the fakir. When the fakir looked into the glass, he said, "There is a snake in this water." Shocked, the woman replied, "How is that possible? I gave you the water myself." The fakir said, "Daughter, you are under the influence of black magic." The woman was astonished and said, "Why would anyone cast black magic on me? I have no enemies." However, the fakir kept repeating that someone had cast black magic on her to separate her husband from her, and to ensure she had no children. Hearing this, the woman laughed and said, "Oh Baba, how can I believe what you are saying? Allah has already blessed me with such a beautiful daughter. I would show her to you, but she is sleeping right now." Upon hearing this, the fakir said, "Daughter, go inside and see. You will believe my words." Your daughter is not sleeping. She is dead. Hearing this, it was as if the sky had fallen on her. She ran inside and found her daughter. To her horror, her daughter was indeed dead. Crying and screaming, she rushed back to the door. But the fakir was nowhere to be found. She told her servant, "Go and see where the fakir has gone." The servant searched for the fakir everywhere, but he could not be found. Everyone was shocked and wondered how such a small, innocent child had died and who that fakir was. Who had foretold her death? A year had passed since her daughter had died. Allah blessed her with another daughter. And this daughter was even more beautiful than the first one. She didn't let anyone see her daughter because she was scared, thinking, "I've already lost one daughter. If anything happens to this one, what will I do?" Quote, this daughter was now 3 years old, and the woman was very happy. 3 years later, the same fakir came to her door again. Her servant went to give food to the fakir. When the servant saw him, she recognized him and ran to her mistress, saying, "Mistress, the same fakir has come, the one who told you about your first daughter's death." Hearing this, the woman was terrified and rushed to her daughter's side. She saw that her daughter was peacefully sleeping. Relieved, she took a deep breath and told her servant, "Go and give the fakir food and send him away." The servant did as instructed. While taking the food, the fakir said, "The mistress of this house is under the influence of black magic. She does not believe anything I say. Tell her that she should get herself treated. Otherwise, no children in this house will survive. That woman will never be able to become a mother again." When the servant conveyed this to her mistress, the woman began to cry uncontrollably. The servant sent a message to her master. Her husband immediately mounted his horse and rode home. As soon as he dismounted from the horse started behaving strangely. It began digging the ground in the courtyard with its hooves. Everyone was astonished and confused by the horse's behavior. Suddenly, the daughter ran out of the house and, before anyone could catch her, she fell straight into the hole the horse had dug. When the innocent child was pulled out, she was already dead. After this tragedy, the woman was convinced that everything the fakir had said was true. She contacted a renowned scholar for spiritual help. During this treatment, Allah blessed her with another daughter. She and her husband were now terrified, thinking, "If something happens to this daughter, what will we do?" Quote, but what happened with this daughter was even more horrifying than with the first two. One day, her husband, the daughter, and the woman were on their way to see the spiritual healer who had been treating them. While passing through a forest, a kite, a large bird, suddenly appeared, swooped down, and snatched the child from her mother's arms. The bird flew high into the sky with the child. Both parents watched helplessly as their daughter was carried away. While flying, the bird dropped the child from a great height. The fall was so high that when the child hit the ground, fell, and her body was torn into pieces. Seeing this, both parents were writhing in agony, just like a fish struggles out of water. The question that kept haunting them was, who is killing our daughters? Why is this happening to our daughters? Quote, now the woman would cry day and night. She had witnessed the deaths of her 3 daughters with her own eyes. For a mother, what greater grief could there be than this? Yet, she tried to hold back her tears and kept praying to Allah. She asked, "O Allah, what wisdom lies in this? Who is my enemy? Why is this secret not being revealed?" Quote, the fakir had told her that black magic had been done to her, but he had not revealed who was behind it. Her husband had already distanced himself from her. Now, after the deaths of 3 daughters, her in-laws began convincing her husband, saying, "Son, this wife of yours is unlucky. Every child born to her dies. We need a son to carry on our family's lineage. If Allah grants her a son, what if he dies too?" It's better if you marry someone else. The thought of a second marriage began to take root in her husband's mind. But one day, Allah had it so that the same fakir came to her door again. He knocked and called out, "Is there anyone who can feed this servant of Allah?" Quote, when the servant opened the door, she was shocked to see the fakir and immediately went to inform her mistress. The woman came running to the fakir, crying, and said, "Why have you come now? Every time you come to my door, you take my child away. I have nothing left to give you. I am empty-handed. I can never become a mother again." "You were right," she continued, crying and speaking to the fakir. The fakir said, "If you believe in me, allow me to enter your house. I have been sent here specifically for your sake." The woman trusted him and took the fakir inside her home. The fakir roamed around the house and then sat in one spot, saying, "Bring me a vessel of water." The servant brought water and placed it in front of the fakir. The fakir recited something over the water for a long time and then said to the woman, "Look into it and tell me what you see." When the woman looked into the water, she was stunned to see a large black snake inside it. She screamed and stepped back in fear. The fakir said, "Now you have seen with your own eyes that black magic has been done to you. Through this magic, a black snake has been placed in your womb, which is killing every one of your children." The woman said, "But my children are born healthy." The fakir replied, "Yes, you are given the happiness of having children, but then it is taken away from you. These children do not have a life of their own. No one is killing your daughters. It is the snake. This black magic was done to you by a Hindu boy, even before your marriage." Quote, the Hindu boy had fallen madly in love with you as soon as he saw you. When you married someone else, he became enraged and burned with jealousy. He started practicing black magic, learning a powerful mantra from a practitioner and chanting it for 40 days. Every day, he caused separation between you and your husband, and that's why your husband became distant from you. He had loved you dearly, but due to this magic, he started hating you. The Hindu boy had cast a horrible spell on you, ensuring that you would never be able to have children. The woman was a devout servant of Allah and a Hafiz of the Quran. She never imagined doing anything wrong to anyone, and she wondered why all of this was happening to her. She believed that Allah was testing her, or perhaps someone else was behind all this. Now that she had learned who her enemy was, she said, "I am ready to go through any hardship." The fakir replied, "Think carefully. This is a very difficult task." The woman responded, "I am ready." The fakir then told her, "To save your future children, you must give birth to this snake so that any children born after this will be safe." At first, she was frightened, but then, with her strong faith in Allah, she was willing to do anything. The fakir taught her certain rituals, which she was supposed to perform quietly that very night. When her husband returned, she told him everything. He asked, "Do you really believe that the fakir is telling the truth? Why are you willing to take such a risk for the sake of children? Why do you want to carry a snake inside you?" Quote, she replied, "Everything that has happened so far, the fakir has been right about. And it is clear to you as well. He is the one who made you hate me. I will do this ritual, no matter the cost," she continued. "The fakir told me that this snake is inside me, and he said that as soon as I express love for it, calling it my son, it will begin to grow." She said, "I will have to extract the snake from my body by any means possible. The fakir has also given me some instructions, which I must follow alone, in silence." At night, the woman, with great love, spoke to the snake, saying, "I am your mother, and I want to give birth to you and bring you into this world." The snake listened to her, and it began to grow inside her. She told a midwife everything that had happened and explained the situation in full detail. She made it clear that the child she would deliver would not be an ordinary child. It would be a snake. The time came, and she gave birth to a snake. However, because of the rituals she performed, the snake was born dead. The snake wasn't alone. A son was also born with it, and this son was blue in color. Unfortunately, the son died shortly after birth. For a mother, what could be more painful than witnessing the death of 3 daughters and 1 son? But seeing the snake before her, she was truly astonished, realizing how she had carried and given birth to such a large serpent. Now, only Allah could guide her toward the right path. Exactly 1 year later, Allah blessed her with a very beautiful son. The fakir came again to her door and called out. She rushed to the door and said, "Fakir, are you here to bring me bad news again? If anything bad happens to me now, I might not be able to bear it and could die. I always pray for my son's health and life, begging Allah to grant him a long life." The fakir replied, "Daughter, I'm not here to bring you bad news, but rather good news. That Hindu boy, who had once placed black magic on you, has been bitten by the very black snake he tried to control. The snake bit him, and it also bit the one who helped him with the magic. Both of them have died. In this way, Allah has taken your enemies' lives. Allah has granted you relief and has bestowed His blessings upon you. Allah has granted your son life, and you will live your life happily. You and your son will be the sole heirs of this wealth." The girl, who was a Hafiz of the Quran, began to thank Allah and lived her life happily. If a person truly believes in Allah, then Allah will resolve all their difficulties. Subhanallah. In the end, I pray to Allah that He keeps us away from all difficulties and troubles. Ameen. Dear friends, if you enjoyed this video, please make sure to like it. Don't forget to share this video with your friends and family. If you are new to our channel, please subscribe to our channel, African Tales 2.0, and become a part of our family. Thank you.